check this out. This is our set of wheels for the next 5 days because we're going to be driving from the top end in Darwin all the way down through the guts of Australia to Alice Springs. So we have hired this Toyota Hilux camper to get that job done. We've got heaps of iconic spots to stop in along the way. Can't wait to show you those. And you'd think a vehicle like this would cost us an arm and a leg to hire through such remote country and driving such a long distance. I think you'd be pretty surprised it hardly cost us a thing. You better stay tuned to find out how we managed to do this on the cheap. So we've just left Darwin and the first leg of our trip is going to take us to Katherine. Now Katherine is kind of where the tropics meets the desert. We're technically in the tropics at the moment and it's just going to start getting drier and drier the further we go south. We are actually camping about half an hour outside of the town at a place called Nitmiluk National Park. Spending one night there. There's a few things that we've got on the agenda, a few things to do. And yeah, the drive so far has been pretty cool. It's actually 130 kilometer roads, which is definitely faster than we're used to driving. Alright, so we've just arrived at our campground here at Nitmiluk National Park. I think this is the hottest day yet. The car was telling us it was 39 degrees. I think it even went up to 40 at one point. But I think the plan of attack right now is to set up camp. We've got no idea how long it's going to take us first time around. We've got to get the tent and the sleeping mats and all that off the top of the camper. We'll set that up and then we'll tell you a little bit more about this camper situation in general, how it came about, because it was, again, like most of this trip, very last minute, very spontaneous, but it's a pretty good story. Also, how do you like my Bunnings hat? $6, bought it this morning, absolute bargain. Alright, so that didn't take too long to set up and I think it's going to get quicker each time, but we have arrived a bit later than we intended and there was a little walk we wanted to do this afternoon, so we're going to head off to do that. It's going to be a lot nicer because in that time setting up it's actually cooled off quite a lot, a few clouds have come over. Now the main reason we've come to Nitmiluk is to experience the gorges that run through this area. They're pretty spectacular, they're pretty well known, and tomorrow we're actually going to go on a boat that's going to take us through some of those gorges, which will be pretty cool. At the moment, we're going up, up, up. We just hit a bunch of stairs to try and get a bit of a view as the sun's coming down of this gorge. These stairs, it's always stairs. This is absolutely beautiful up here. The sun's starting to set. We've just got this amazing view of the gorge, the big sandstone cliffs either side and the river running through. So nice up here and peaceful. You can hear a few bats in the distance. There's a bit of a cool breeze blowing through, which is awesome. And it looks like there's another lookout a little bit further up, which I think we'll have to go check out. Good morning guys, we are up nice and early, and before I get too far, can I just say how incredible were those flying foxes last night as the sun was setting going across the river. There was literally thousands of them all heading out for their nightly feed, and I can hear the colony. They're all coming back now. They've just been flying over the top of us, coming back to their roosting trees now. Really cool to be able to see that. But now we're actually heading down for a little boat cruise through the gorge. Yesterday we witnessed the gorge from a nice high perspective. Today we're going to be just cutting straight through it on the boat. So we've come down to where we're going to be hopping on the boat, and as I thought, All the bats have come back from their evening foraging. So these guys here are little red flying foxes. There's a couple of different species of flying fox you can find throughout Australia, and they're called flying foxes because of that appearance, that foxy little face they've got. And they are some of the largest bats that you'll find anywhere in the world. But these guys, believe it or not, actually specialize in eating things like nectar, little fruits, pollen, from flowering trees around the place. So that's what these guys would have been after last night. And then during the day, it just gets too hot. So they're trying to minimize the amount of heat exposure they've got resting here in the trees. Tell you what, a camera cannot do this place justice. It's absolutely incredible. We've just hopped off the boat. We're heading up to check out some Aboriginal rock art that's said to be over 8,000 years old. Alright, so one of the reasons we were able to do this trip on such short notice is because we got a massive discount on this camper behind us, which is kind of the main part of our trip. We've got it for 5 days and it cost us a total of $195 for 5 days, including $250 worth of fuel. Now, normally something like this would be what, like when you look,
it's about $3,500 for 7 days.
$3,500 for 7 days with all the bits and bobs and you know, insurance and stuff like that. So we're able to get it super cheap, but I can't actually claim to be the one that discovered we could do this. That was Sam. So Sam, how did we manage to get this thing for $195?
Okay, so originally we had these 2 weeks off, meant to be in New Zealand. Didn't happen. So we started researching what we could do a little bit closer to home. And then we came across van relocations. So basically it's a company needing you move a car from A to B because they don't have time to move it themselves. So you get it cheaper. So there's a lot at the moment in Darwin, Cairns.
Well, it's mainly Darwin and Cairns because we kind of were thinking on the way here, they're probably trying to get all the vans and campers and four-wheel drives and stuff out of the tropics for wet season because not as many people are coming up here. So there's all these van relocations going south.
There was heaps for Darwin. The scary part was that you only really find out 2 weeks before you travel when you're going to actually get one or not. So that kind of, we had a couple of different plans sitting in place just in case.
Yeah, and this one was actually meant to have a rooftop tent, which we were really excited about. It was meant to still be a Toyota four-wheel drive. I think it was meant to be a Land Cruiser. We ended up getting a Hilux. I don't know, your car people might have something to say about that. For us, we don't really mind, but we actually ended up getting one without the rooftop tent. It has the tent, which we've got to take off and set up every night. So not a huge deal, but yeah, you can't kind of have a guarantee of what you're going to get when you do these relocations, and you've kind of got to go with the flow a little bit.
So it is risky. If someone does book it, then your booking's cancelled.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a risk, but we had the 2 weeks and we thought, why not?
And it's worked out for us, like $190, man. That's absolutely ridiculous. That's like 40-ish.
It's like 2 dinners.
So if you are looking for a last minute budget option for a little trip or a little road trip, checking out these van relocations definitely be worth your while. I might link a couple of the websites below so you can see the ones that we used. Some of them are even cheaper than this. So it's vans, four-wheel drive campers, you know, a few different options. Cars, even like the big, what do you call them, RVs as well. So heaps of options. Definitely a cool way to see Australia on the cheap. So I'll give you a quick little tour of the camper and how everything is set up. So firstly, we've got the tent, and yeah, just held up by the pole in the middle. It's pretty quick setup, which is good. Nice heavy duty tent. This tent can actually sleep up to 4 people, and as such, we got 4 lots of linen, pillows, sheets, towels, and that sort of thing. So we've kind of chucked a few of the spare ones in the back here. There is a fair bit of space for some other things. There is a second battery here, which runs the fridge and some USB points if we do want to use those. So we don't have to worry about it coming off the main car. Battery. The fridge is kept in here. Came with table and chairs and a few other bits and pieces as well. Sam's making some sandwiches for lunch for the next few days, or maybe just for today if we're really hungry. So back here we've got the fridge. You can actually set it all the way down to a freezer. You can set the temperature on that. Whoops, just whacked in the face. And then over here we've just got pots, pans, kitchen stuff, as well as in here we've got plates, Tupperware and all that sort of stuff. So here is our fridge. All our goodies in there, so yeah, it's a fair bit of stuff, definitely enough for us for the next couple of days, which is really good. So it just slides out on a little thing like that, which is really quite useful. Got a little bit more storage up the top in here. We've got the chairs, or the chairs we're not using, and then we've got these drawers down the bottom as well, which are pretty useful. One side's just got a few extra straps and some of the camping stuff in it as well, but we can just fit all that extra food in here. Great Northern up the back. That's actually staying relatively cool, which is really good as well. So yeah, it's nothing too flash, but pretty good for what we need. This back area is actually set up pretty cool. Definitely gonna take a few tips from that if I ever make my own camper. And even though we got a 4-wheel drive, that's just kind of because that's what was available at the time. So we don't really intend on doing any 4-wheel driving. I suppose it'll be good if we do go on any gravel roads and things like that, but it's just kind of what we ended up with. So the 4-wheel drive side of things will go a little bit to waste, I suppose, but if you are into 4-wheel driving, this would be such a good option, and there'd be so many places up here in the Northern Territory in particular to really take advantage of that. But now it's time for us to pack everything down, move on from Nitmiluk to our next destination.